Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this busy night. Tonight, we are following two major stories: the staggering destruction caused by Hurricane Ida along the Gulf Coast. We're going to begin with America's longest war tonight, because that war is officially over. The last American military plane left from Kabul's airport at 3:29 p.m. Eastern Time. A moment in history as that C-17 cargo plane carried the remaining U.S. troops, the top U.S. diplomat and general, out of the country. 20 years after the U.S. toppled the Taliban in the aftermath of 9/11, that group is back in full control. And in what's being called the largest airlift in U.S. history, coalition forces brought more than 123,000 civilians out of Afghanistan in recent weeks, including roughly 6,000 Americans. The military could not get everyone out, but said efforts to evacuate them will continue even without a U.S. military or diplomatic presence. CBS's Ed O'Keefe is going to lead off our coverage tonight from the White House. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Nora. Tonight, President Biden has fulfilled his campaign pledge to end the nearly 20-year war, but the historic evacuation came with a bloody cost, leaving plenty of questions unanswered and big challenges ahead. Tonight, the U.S. retreat from Afghanistan is complete.
And the last manned aircraft is now clearing the airspace above Afghanistan.
The final American flight lifted off out of Kabul airport just after midnight local time, where it's now August 31st, the president's deadline for withdrawing after a bloody and costly 20-year war.
It's a mission that brought Osama bin Laden to a just end, along with many of his al-Qaeda co-conspirators. And it was not a cheap mission. The cost was 2,461 U.S. service members and civilians killed, and more than 20,000 who were injured.
Social media showed the Taliban celebrating their return to power tonight with heavy gunfire. Earlier, in the frantic closing hours of the evacuation, military aircraft had to shoot off flares to divert potential rocket attacks. Roughly 6,000 Americans were pulled out in the last 16 days, but hundreds likely remain behind, as do thousands of Afghan allies who'd hoped to get out. The evacuation caps one of the largest in modern history and the end of a catastrophic period for President Biden. Thursday's suicide bombing outside the airport, killing 13 U.S. service members and hundreds of Afghans, turned the withdrawal mission into a full-blown crisis. Mr. Biden honored the fallen and grieved with their families at Dover Air Force Base on Sunday. With another attack imminent this weekend, the Pentagon targeted an ISIS-K suicide bomber with a drone strike, which witnesses charge also killed civilians, including several children.
10 persons died in here. We lost 10 persons, including of my daughter. He was 2 years old.
U.S. officials say they've launched an investigation into the incident.
We are not in a position to dispute it right now.
And Ed joins us again from the White House. So what happens to those Americans that are still in Afghanistan?
Well, Nora, the president says he plans to address the nation on all of this tomorrow. But in a statement tonight, he says he's instructed Secretary of State Antony Blinken to work with global partners to ensure the safe passage of any Americans, Afghans, or other foreign nationals who want to leave that country. He says the Taliban has made commitments to their safe passage and, quote, the world will hold them to their commitments. A new chapter is beginning tonight in Afghanistan.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you.